So I remembered something today. Back in the days during my NYC period, I was actually heading out. So I had this I took an Uber. The man who was driving me, or the driver, was narrating his life experiences to me, and he told me that he could not believe that this is how life was going to turn out for him. As a young man, he was brilliant. He was smart, and he had this let's call it he had this notion that life is always going to be that way. He always laughed and mocked at those who were working at paid employment. He said that they were dull and they didn't know much. You get, so he could, you know, earn as much as possible in a matter of months. And while he was yet speaking, I was kind of seeing myself in that picture. And the reason is this: most times there is this thing that happens when there is this invisibility. It is a mirage that comes upon anyone who feels that he or she has attained a level of wealth. You feel invincible, but the thing there is that it's just a deception. If you really want to know how wealthy you are, you must follow through the core principles of wealth. Do you have the core principles and the value systems that attracts wealth? So those are the things that I had to begin to consciously decide not to judge my current level by the things that I have, by money, or by like cash. Okay, there are different things that transcend the world. Even the scripture, there was something Jesus called two riches. In other words, there is a false one. For you to say, who would give you two riches, that means there is the kind of riches that appears as riches, but you actually have nothing. Somebody who had 4 million saved last year December, for instance, might feel that he has money because that 4 million naira is approximately, give or take, say, as at that time, approximately $8,000, right? Right now, that 4 million is not up to $4,000. So you see, at the end of the day, if you labored and all the efforts you have been putting in is to get that 4 million, you know that you would be very depressed by now. Even Jesus, when he was speaking, he said, labor not for the meat that perishes. It is vain. In fact, I think it is futility that you take a bulk portion of your life working for money. I believe that wealth is created through a different mindset, and society is blinded to that reality. Wealth is created through a different mindset. It's not just about your degree, it is your ability to use what you know and create a solution and solve a problem. You understand? The problem must not be technical. The problem even can be anything that is a problem, and every generation have their own kind of problem, and you could look at where a certain civilization is going and predict the problem they are going to face, even judging from history or judging from your own personal experiences. Because right now there are some problems that if you solve, you're going to be broke for the rest of your life, and at the same time there are some problems that are created by the solutions that have been provided to solve the previous problems. Your ability to find these things and position yourself in such a way that you are relevant across different dispensation of time is, I think, is very paramount in bringing about the needed so one of the lessons I learned is when you are making it, like amassing wealth, judge yourself by the core indicators of wealth. Judge yourself by the core indicators of wealth. The first is your health. The second is your relationships. The third is your competence, your values. These are some of the things that can help you preserve your wealth. Okay, I've seen money disappear. I've seen wealthy people go down to nothing. Okay, because of flimsy, poor decision making processes. So I think you have to invest in yourself, because trust me, at the end of the day, you would only begin to reflect that which you believe. at the end of the day, you will make decisions. Decisions will not make themselves for you. You will make decisions, and the decisions you're going to make, in fact, the options that you're going to see from where you're going to make a choice, will only be made available by the extent of knowledge that you have. In other words, if you don't know so much, your options are limited. So as a young person who have the ability to know, because like it or not, you are always learning. You're always learning. You don't need to decide what you learn. As long as you're on earth and your eyes are open, your gateways are open, the brain will continually feed information in word. It is your ability to decide what goes in, because everything you see you do, you learnt it. Everything you see yourself doing, you learnt it. You didn't, in fact, your mother's tongue, your language that you're speaking, you learnt it. The religion, you learnt it. You were just created like a black box. So whatever reality that you see coming around you or happening or being obvious is just what you learned. If you change what you are learning, you can change what you are becoming. Okay? And foolishness is like saying, oh, I just have to spend 5 years in the university and I'm done with reading. Oh my God, you've not known anything yet. That's where you just got started. School just prepared you to know how to study. Our word is, to him much is given, much is demanded of him. And if he's unable to bring up to expectation, depending on the level where he is, it might be a disappointment. So when I heard this story, I learned a lot of lessons, even from the wisdom of Joseph and the difference between Jacob and Esau. I've always been saying this. It's painful when you have to go to the bush to catch an animal. Jacob didn't have to catch 2 animals. Maybe 1, 2, 3 months salary was enough. 2, 3 months was enough. Do you have that wisdom? These are the things that matter. So when it comes to the core responsibilities of wealth, I'm not wealthy, don't tell me I'm not wealthy. Don't come and ask me for money I don't have. But I have something that is more valuable than money, and this is what gives me peace. Okay, even there is you have to understand it. Recently God started leading me through an understanding of the purpose of the law that was given in Deuteronomy, the law that he gave to Moses. Do you know Israel never demanded for a law? They never go to God and say, God, now we've come out of Israel, give us a law. There was no situation like that. God gave a law to Moses for a purpose, and that law was a binding agreement. God had a part to play. The children of Israel had a part to play. There was a promise attached to the law, but the law could not meet the needs of God. The law could not, the law could not do what it was assigned to do, because it was weakened by the human flesh. So if you are actually going to be reasonable, if you're within a context of time, not just existing and eating food and sleeping, but having the ability to make a mark within the sands, not just a mark of ambition or just of, but being part of something that is bigger, mightier than you, being part of something that is stronger than you can imagine. If you ever want to get to that point in your life, there are some things you must access wisdom, not just degree. You must access wisdom, and wisdom is a principal thing. Get it. You have the capacity to get it. At first it may sound gibberish, but continue. There are some times I look at myself and I'm like, wow, how did I get here? How did I become so proficient in this thing? Just continue, just be consistent in it. All this noise and distractions, even what I'm doing now could be a distraction depending on where you're going, will not lead anybody to any place. Feed your focus, starve your distractions. So till next time, I remain Sunday.